Hi guys, welcome! In this video, we'll dive into Sunlight's DPS build for PVE. Harnessing the radiant power of the sun, Sunlight is a melee physical hero class that is capable of unleashing immense bursts of damage to her enemies. If you missed our previous discussion regarding Sunlight's skill mechanics and an analysis of her pros and cons, you can find the video link below. This time we'll cover everything you need to know, from stats, runes, gears, cards, upgrades, and battle setup to guide you in optimizing your Sunlight character for PvE. Alright, without further ado, let's begin. First up, for attribute point distribution, max out both strength and dex for maximizing Sunlight's damage potential. This because Sunlight's Mind Eye Vision passive skill grants 5 points of raw physical attack for every point of dex. As for the remaining points, just distribute it based on the cards and headwear that you plan on using. As an example, if you're going to use a Zanubi card in your garment, then it's more beneficial to put points on Int to get more skill damage bonus. If you're planning to inlay a biochemistry Baphomet card in your accessory, then you need to get all attributes to at least 119 points each for enhancing PDI. As for damage modifiers, these are the ones that can further boost Sunlight's damage output against monsters. At full stacks, Sunlight's kit already provides 140% physical penetration, 200% damage to monsters, 25% more damage against dark or undead elements and undead or demon race monsters, and up to 60% elemental damage. During Scorching Realm state, she gains 50% skill damage and 30% movement speed. Hence, you need to prioritize reaching 200% ignore physical def first before boosting her other damage modifiers such as melee physical damage, damage to large size, and final damage bonus. Increasing movement speed is also important because every 10% movement speed increases the damage of Path of the Sun by up to 2%. Up next, let's take a look at Sunlight's runes. Maxing out the core passive skill to level 7 should be your topmost priority as it increases the max limit of solar power stacks to 200 and it allows the manual activation of Scorching Realm for better skill timing. Aside from activating the second line effect of her runes, you should also focus on getting a high first line value on these runes for maximizing Sunlight's damage potential. First is the Undying Sun rune, which boosts the damage of Path of the Sun by up to 2% for every 10% movement speed. Second is the Solar Breakthrough Star rune, which directly increases the damage of Sunlight Crash by up to 50%. And third is the Bestowed Radiance rune, which grants up to 60% elemental damage for the chosen element. Just note that this value is halved if auto switch type is toggled. As for attribute runes, you may use the following attack, buff, and def runes. And for the Arcane runes, I recommend getting White Blade rune for boosting your final damage, War Preparedness rune to help with survival, and Spirit rune to help prevent running out of SP during long fights. Up next, let's dive into the recommended equipment set and cards. First, for weapon, Sunlight's signature weapon Golden Sunlight Tome would be the best in slot as it gives a huge amount of movement speed and elemental damage. Additionally, its tier 5 effect boosts accumulation of solar power stacks and changes the first phase of Sunlight Crash to AoE damage. Your weapon should be enchanted with Sharp Blade 4 or Morale 4, and inlaid with one of Drake's Star card or Minora's Star card to trigger the Inside effect and the new Child of the Sun card to convert the target's armor to dark element. If having problem with survivability, you may switch to Cobalt Leader card for Life Steal and Sustain. For offhand, the best in slot is the Dragon Bone Shield as main equipment and Skeleton Bracer as phantom equipment for enhancing melee physical damage. Your offhand should be enchanted with Armor Breaking 4 and inlaid with any of the following cards. For armor, the options for main equipment are either Dragon Scale Armor if you've already reached 200% Ignore Physical Def, or Voodoo Armor if still lacking Ignore Physical Def. As for the Phantom equipment slot, the two options are either Perseverance Armor or the Chosen's Armor. Your armor should be enchanted with Morale 4 and inlaid with Molten Colossus card for MVP damage, or Portata Star card if you're not using the Era Fire Seed relic. For garment, the universal choice for physical skill damage dealers is Brave Warrior's Pauldron with 12% skill damage as main equipment and White Duke's Manteau as phantom equipment. Your garment should be enchanted with high PDI and inlaid with any of the following cards. For footgear, the options for main equipment are Dragon Slayer War Boots for boosting physical attack and physical pen, or Overlord War Boots for boosting physical damage, while for phantom equipment, you may either use the Little Fairy Slippers or St. Mary's Cloth Shoes. Your footgear should be enchanted with high PDI and inlaid with Moonlight Flower Star card since movement speed increases the damage of Path of the Sun. For accessories, I recommend using any of the following combinations depending on the element you're using. Essence of Scorching Flame and Flame Feather if focusing on Fire element, Fluorite Button and Brush of Spring if focusing on Water element, or Pendant of Fusion and Hermit's Bundle if using other elements. All accessories should be enchanted with Sharp Blade 4 and High BDI and inlaid with Devil Governor card and Alien Valkyrie Rafrisi card for boosting damage. For headwear, these are my top picks for each slot. Just choose depending on availability and the stat you're lacking. As for headwear enchantment, aim for Sharp Blade 4th enchant on your tail item and Morale 4th enchant on your face and back items. And for headwear card, you may use any of the following for enhancing damage. Up next, here are the other upgrades that you can invest in to further boost your damage. For Acer Monument, activating all the nodes will grant the following stats. Notably, it provides 16% Ignore Physical Def, 15% Physical Damage, and 10% Physical Pen, Physical Attack, and Movement Speed. For guild buffs, maxing out your blessings and prayers will grant additional raw physical attack, ignore physical def, physical pen, elemental damage, physical piercing strike, and elemental piercing strike. For Oracle Mirror Extract, the options are Bilgusarn for damage to MVP, Chieftain's Axe for ignore physical def, or Claw for physical attack. For Ancient Relics, you may focus on increasing damage using Lord of Vane or Air of Fire Scene. You may also opt to improve survivability using Horn of the Unyielding. For Equipment Memory, here are the attributes that you should prioritize for boosting damage. For Multi-Drop, you can unlock the following classes to get more strength and dex. And for Adventure Handbook, just focus on collecting items and achievements that grant physical attack when unlocked or deposited. Finally, let's take a look at some tips for using Sunlight in battle. First, place the following skills on the manual and auto skill bars. Once you're all set, use the following consumables that can boost your damage, such as meal bees, food buffs, and alloys. Book type weapons do not have weapon size penalty, so you don't need to pop precision stones. Before initiating combat, pray first using Sunlight's Blessing 2 times, passively accumulate solar power stacks. This process would take about 28 seconds. Once you've reached the maximum stacks, cast Sunlight's Grace to convert your attack into the chosen element, then follow up with Sunlight Ritual to change the weather to sunny, maximizing your damage output. After that, you can start approaching the boss and turn on your auto to cycle between her two main DPS skills, Path of the Sun and Sunlight Crash. For short fights such as boss hunts, you may activate the Scorching Realm ultimate skill at the start to quickly take down the MVP. However, for longer fights, it's best to reserve the activation of Scorching Realm only when needed, either to trigger the anti-fatal effect for survivability or to secure the kill when the MVP's HP is already low. In instances with large waves of mobs, you may cast Solar Flame Shower for AoE damage and sustain. However, be mindful that this skill gradually depletes solar power stacks over time. The optimal strategy is to activate Solar Flame Shower at full stacks, then trigger Scorching Realm when solar power reaches around 100 to 150 stacks. This ensures the highest possible damage output from both her kick skills and Solar Flame Shower. After Scorching Realm ends, you can use Sunlight's Blessing to quickly regenerate your solar power stacks and prepare for the next combat cycle. And there you have it, my Sunlight DPS build guide for PVE. Overall, Sunlight is an extremely powerful DPS with high burst damage, sustain, and versatility, making her a top-tier choice in PVE. Will you be building Sunlight in the future? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Alright, that's it for this video guys. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed watching this guide. If you're new here, I would love you to consider subscribing by hitting the subscribe button down below. I would love to have you back. Thank you for watching and see you in our next episode.